Kyoto, I think it's the only international legally binding agreement we have. Many of us, you would be very surprised to know, were actually not happy with what happened in Kyoto and what came out of it. But I think what was interesting enough is that people have recognized the flaws of Kyoto, and there are calls for improving Kyoto. But on the issue about the legally binding targets, it does call for Annex 1 parties to make the commitments. And there has been agreement that there has to be a top-down approach, that it has to be scientifically based. So these are principles that are fundamental in Kyoto. And the problem with Kyoto in relation to the emissions trading and the clean development mechanism and all that, there are opportunities to fix that. But so those of us who are talking about the second commitment period of Kyoto and beyond are saying this is the only internationally legally binding treaty there is for Annex 1. And the targets were very low in the first commitment period. Everybody recognizes that. But we need to have the targets scaled up. So you dump Kyoto, you have nothing left. So Kyoto is very critical. But how do we keep Kyoto, improve on the best of Kyoto, and reform Kyoto in a way that would make it work? And that's important. But the problem at this point in time is that the United States and the others, including Japan, Russia, and Canada and Australia, all want to jump ship. They do not want Kyoto, and they want to kill it. And the European Union is also going to go along, if not for civil society voices. So Kyoto is key. Despite its flaws, we can improve it. Now, how to be realistic? Somebody talked about what is realistic, and the issue of the blame game. Now, I think that if Bolivia talks about the 1 degree, actually what you do see, you have a 2 degree, you have a 1 degree, and you have a 1.5. Large numbers of countries are around the 1.5. And I think that this is negotiations. People have realized that you can't stick to 2 degrees. It's too low a target. You do need at least 1.5 given the current science. So I think it's very realistic to call for 1 in the sense that this is negotiations. You're not going to get 1. You may get 1.5. So in a negotiation, this is where between 2 to 1 and 1.5, it is not unrealistic. It is real. It is necessary. In relation to other issues about what's realistic, I think, it's unrealistic to think that we can solve the world's problems in very techno fixes, that we can solve it with nuclear energy, that we can solve it with biofuels, we can solve it with 30% targets. And, that's unrealistic, because then what we are doing is that we're having false solutions and not addressing the real solutions. And finally, just to say about empowerment, I think that what we're seeing at this moment is not that we have, for me, insofar as United States, I agree with John when you don't pay attention to the leadership of the United States. That's the United States government. But I do think that we have a huge opportunity here. What I find happening is that people are powerless because of the financial crisis, the economic crisis, the jobs in crisis. For those of us from the developing world, we see this crisis similar to that of the climate crisis. It's a systemic crisis. It's the crisis that what Assad was talking about. We can see it happening, that this is structural. That today is this, tomorrow is that, day after tomorrow it will be some other crisis. That if you want to change it, it has to be a structural change. And what's not happening is the conversations that need to happen about that. We need a movement in the United States. There's a huge opportunity here. We need a movement in Europe. There's a huge opportunity, and I completely echo with everything that he's saying. And for me, to be a person in this moment is absolutely empowering. Because it's about campaigning, it's about activism, it's about challenging. It's about doing something for a meaning. And it's not about consumerism. It's about another life. And I wanted to say, somebody said, what about Western consumers not giving up? You're going to be doomed. Those of us in the developing world, we are not waiting for Western consumers to change their lifestyle, because it will land on you. And for now, it's the financial crisis, the economic crisis. Maybe the greenhouse gases are going down, not because of structural change, but because of the economic crisis. But for a lot of us in the developing world, our crisis is daily, day in, day out. So we don't depend on the Western consumers to change their lifestyle. We take power into our own hands, and we want to do what we have to do. And we have to change our people in the way they think as well. So for us, this is not a luxury. I mean, this is not about choice. It's about reality. So we have to empower ourselves to change the game.
That's a nice transition too, the just transition question. Assad, do you want to talk a little bit, just really briefly, about how do you make the links to local groups? There was a question about